The danger of giving up too soon. Why your pit isn't your end. Hey everyone, welcome back to the ancient path. We've all been there. You're working toward a dream, a career, a relationship, a personal breakthrough, and suddenly the floor drops out. You're in a hole you didn't dig, staring up at a sky that feels miles away. In that moment, the loudest voice in your head isn't keep going. It's give up. It was never meant to be. Today, we're talking about the danger of giving up too soon. We're going to look at one of the most resilient figures in history, Joseph, and see how his journey from a pit to a palace proves that the middle of your story is the worst place to put a period. The illusion of the wrong turn. Most of us think that if we're on the right path, it should be a straight line up. We think success looks like a ladder, but the ancient path, it looks more like a labyrinth. Take Joseph. This is a guy who started with a dream. Literally, he had a vision of greatness. But look at the immediate reward for his vision. Betrayal. His own brothers threw him in a cistern. Slavery. Sold like a piece of equipment to foreign traders. False accusation. He did the right thing in Potiphar's house and got rewarded with a prison cell. If Joseph had given up in the pit, we'd never know his name. If he had become bitter in the prison, he would have died an anonymous convict. The danger of giving up too soon isn't just that you miss the goal, it's that you validate a lie. You convince yourself that the hardship was the destination, when it was actually just the training ground. Let's get real for a second. Let's step out of the ancient world and into our own. Think about the entrepreneur who launches a startup. Year 1 is exciting. Year 2 is the grind. Year 3, that's where most people quit. They see the debt, the lack of traction, and the long hours, and they decide it's a failure. But statistics often show that those who survive the dip, as author Seth Godin calls it, are the ones who capture the entire market. When Joseph was in that Egyptian prison, he didn't just sit in a corner and pout. The text tells us he thrived there. He took charge of the other prisoners. He used his gift of interpretation for a cupbearer and a baker. Key insight: Joseph was practicing for the palace while he was still in the prison. If you give up now because your current situation is beneath you, you are essentially saying you aren't ready for the responsibility you're praying for. You cannot manage a kingdom if you cannot manage a jail cell. The cost of the early exit. What happens when we quit too early? There are 3 major dangers. 1. The loss of character refinement in the ancient metallurgical process. Gold is heated until the dross the impurities rises to the top. If the goldsmith pulls the metal out of the fire too soon, the gold stays brittle and weak. Pressure plus time equal to resilience. Joseph needed those years of hardship to burn away the arrogance of his youth. If he had become prime minister at 17, he likely would have been a tyrant. He needed the fire to become a savior. 2. The butterfly effect of your absence. Joseph's perseverance didn't just save his own life. It saved the entire known world from famine, including the brothers who betrayed him. When you give up on your sobriety, your business, or your calling, you aren't just hurting yourself. You are robbing the people who were supposed to be fed by your success. Your finish line is someone else's starting line. 3. The permanent weight of what if. There is a specific kind of pain that comes from walking away 5 minutes before the miracle. Think about Colonel Sanders. He was 65 years old, broke, living in his car, and his recipe had been rejected 1,009 times. Can you imagine if he stopped at 1,000? We wouldn't have a global franchise. We'd just have another sad story of a man who tried and failed. The difference between a failure and a legend is often just one more day of trying. How to keep going when the path disappears. So, how we stay like Joseph. How we keep our hearts soft when the world treats us hard. Reframe the pit. Stop seeing your setback as a dead end. See it as a waiting room. Joseph didn't know how long he'd be in prison, but he acted as if he was supposed to be there. Focus on the small task. Joseph couldn't free himself, but he could help the guy in the next cell. When your big dream feels impossible, do the smallest thing in front of you with excellence. Trust the weaver. There's an old metaphor about a tapestry. From the bottom, it looks like a mess of tangled threads and knots. That's our view. But from the top, the weaver sees a masterpiece. Joseph eventually stood before his brothers and said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." He could only say that because he stayed in the game long enough to see the patterns connect. A final word to the tired. I want to speak directly to someone watching this who is exhausted. Maybe you've been Joseph Ed. You've been loyal and you got burned. You've been hardworking and you got passed over. The danger of giving up too soon is that you'll spend the rest of your life wondering who you could have become. The ancient path isn't the easy path. It's the path of endurance. Your current chapter is a page-turner, not the final sentence. Don't close the book yet. The palace is coming, but the prison is where you find the keys. Stay on the path. I'll see you in the next.